Good morning, students. So we have started off with the chapter on the outline of the conceptual skills of management, and the first topic that I have explained to you in the last two classes was planning. Today from planning, where we studied that how the management by forecasts the future goals, and after the planning process is over, we next move on to the function of organizing in management. Organizing has become a very important factor in management today because of large-scale production. In olden days, things were produced in small amounts, so we didn't have a complex organization as less quantity of goods were produced, and there wasn't a diversified number of goods produced in any country. Goods produced were simple agricultural products. But today we find that the goods produced are very complex in nature. Hence, for that matter, organizing has become an important part of achieving one's goals in an organization. So let us begin with organizing. We can say it is a process of bringing together the resources of an organization, that is physical and financial and other resources. I said organizing is a process where we find that the organization brings together its physical, financial, and other resources, and for this, there must exist a good relationship between the different departments of the organization, a framework of tasks of work to be done, who is to report to whom, that is, authority relationships have to be established, because it has to be done in a systematic manner, the production of goods. So we can define organization to be a process of defining and grouping the activities of an enterprise and establishing the authority relationships among them. In performing the organizing function, the manager defines, departmentalizes, and assigns activities so that they can be well executed, as said by Theo Heinemann. So, if you look at the definition of organization, we can find that it is a complete process, a complete economic or process, where in an enterprise, we find the management organizes the functions and clearly spells out or defines which department has to perform which particular task, so that together the goals can be achieved. Though the work of the different departments are different, like say marketing, finance, operational, they are different departments, but they all work together. The skills are all brought together to achieve the common goal of the organization. So we move on to the importance of organization. So it is a framework, it is an outline through which the managers are able to make the personnel or the people working in the organization to work effectively. And for this, as I mentioned to you a while before, we need it a lot, because today we have to practice large-scale production of goods and services, and the first step is specialization. Work is divided and subdivided according to the qualifications, which we say specialization of the staff, to make it compact and very convenient for them to carry out their functions. Each department has got a definite task to perform, and This task, which is performed by the people by the staff of that department, is based on their qualifications. Qualifications of a particular department, like say the finance department, will definitely include people who have excelled in financial management, who are able to look into the financial resources of the country, of the organization, who can manage the financial resources of the organization. In the same manner, there may be a group of engineers who may be operating the different machines, etc., of the organization, if it is producing goods, etc. So specialization brings about efficiency of the human, because the job is prescribed or the job is allotted according to the talent or according to the qualification of the people who are working in a particular department. The right employee is chosen to perform a certain task. So specific jobs are given to individuals, and each one has to perform a particular responsibility based on his qualifications or experience. There is coordination and cooperation. That is another function or another importance of organization. The organization structure, we find unifies or brings together the efforts of individuals who are working in different groups or departments in the organization. The higher level management tries to bring about cooperation and coordination among the staff by extensively exercising their authority over managers of the lower level, and each one cannot work individually, yes, you can work independently, but the task performed has to be such that it coordinates with the activities of the others too, so that the common goal of the organization can be achieved. Though each one performs a separate task, he is working independently, but at the same time, it's a teamwork. You have to work together to achieve the common goal of the organization. There is clear definition of authority and responsibility of each manager, so that there isn't any confusion, no confusion arises. Neither is there any conflict of power, or any privileges of the manager is hampered. So confusion can be avoided by this method. Conflicts about power and privileges of managers can be avoided. Constantly, we find that it brings about coordination and cooperation, because all activities are coordinated so that a particular goal can be achieved. Each manager knows his responsibility and whom he has to assign a particular task. So, the tasks assigned have to be well communicated. This is another very important part of coordination, that communication between the different personnel has to exist in a formal or informal manner. Because if one doesn't know what the other staff member is doing, then we find that they'll be all working in a scattered manner, and it will be difficult to achieve the common goal. So for this matter, communication forms an important part of coordination and cooperation. The managers at each level have to spell out, have to communicate with the subordinates as to what is expected of them, so that a proper cooperation can exist and the goal can be achieved. Growth and diversification, the next important function of organization. Within the framework, the every organization tries to grow in size, whether to produce, that is, to produce more quantity of goods or more quantity of services. And they may have initially or in the beginning started off with a single product or a single service, but over the years as they grow, they try to diversify. A very common good example is that of the Reliance Group. Initially, they started with petrochemicals, but see today they have diversified into telecommunication, geo, network, we all use. They have diversified into selling grocery, vegetables. So in this GeoMart, then they have diversified into opening of fashion garments, etc., the retail business. So in this manner, what we find is that a company over the years may grow, and as it grows over the years, we find that activities may multiply. And for this reason, we find that the management or the organizing factor in an organization is very, very important to build up the strength of the organization, because as it grows, its activities increase. And as its activities increase due to diversification, still there has to be coordination between the different products that or the services that is being managed by that group or managed by that organization. So it is ultimately they are under one brand or one umbrella. So their goals ultimately is one, that is how to help the organization to grow in size. They may have started, as I mentioned, the example of Reliance Group, they started with a single commodity, but over the years, they have diversified. But at the same time, the major goal of the organization remains the same for all its products and services made by them. So in this manner, the staff and the personnel have to grow or have to use this skill so that the organization can grow and diversify more in future. Aid to management. Organization encourages training and development of employees so that the human activities and their work will help to achieve a common goal. It helps to predict the work activities of different individuals and groups so that problems can be avoided. The management tries its best through the organization factor to see that proper training is given to the employees so that the work, what they have to do, or the activities that they have to do can be predicted and problems can be avoided. Because the lesser the problems, the more will be the scope of growth of an organization. So a good organization tries to help its top management by delegating or sharing responsibility with the lower level managements for the routine functions, and tries to see that duplication of work among employees should not affect or make it difficult for the management to achieve the goals. So, I repeat, the organization has to be very well defined. It becomes difficult for the management as there may be duplication of work among employees which will affect the business performance. So, unless the tasks or the functions are delegated properly, duplication of work can arise. And if the same task is being performed by 2 or 3 people and they don't communicate or coordinate among themselves, then problems may arise, which needs to be avoided. So for this reason, we conclude that the mechanism of organization is such that it helps the management to control chaos, conflict over work, and creates an environment which is suitable for teamwork. So ultimately, it's teamwork, smooth teamwork, which is essential for the growth of an organization and to achieve the common goals. And for this, chaos and conflict have to be avoided, which is done through organizing. Now, we'll quickly look into the steps of organizing. The first step is division of work, or we can also call it division of labor. What is this division of labor? It's nothing but specialization. As we all know, unless work is divided according to each employee's qualifications, the total task of achieving the goal cannot be done. You cannot achieve the goal. So for this reason, specialization has come up in today's modern world. As I've been discussing in today's class, that large-scale production has become a must. Goods are produced in large quantities. And when goods are produced in large quantities, work has to be divided among the different employees. And this division of work among the employees is done on the basis of their experience and skills that they are good at. While dividing work, we have to remember that all activities needed to achieve the objectives depends upon the nature and size of the enterprise. A manufacturing firm may have production, marketing, finance, and other function, while a retail shop, it is different. So while dividing work, we have to remember that the organization's objectives needs to be achieved. And for this, it will depend upon how big the organization is. Like every organization, there is a task or there is a department which specializes in production, marketing, finance, and other functions. But this may not be the same for a retail shop, which is a small organization. And then you need not divide the work into sub-functions. That is, when you go to a shop, you can find one salesman who is trying to sell all the different goods that is available in this shop. Maybe two. But when it comes to a large-scale production company, then in that case, definitely you need departments to handle each task separately. That is production, marketing, finance, etc. Grouping jobs or activities. Once the jobs or activities have been grouped together or classified, each group is assigned a manager who is in charge of that group and who tries to see that the related activities are combined and put together into a larger group called departments, divisions, or sections. A department may have a number of managers if it's a big department. If it is a small one, then you just have a single manager. But if it is a big company and you have a big department, it may be subdivided into, or the charge may be given to a number of managers. And each unit tries to perform its duties in such a manner so that the activities can carry on smoothly. The process of grouping activity is, as I said, is called departmentation. And each department is linked with the other. We mustn't think that they are all independent. Yes, they work independently, no doubt. But since the goal is common, they are all interdependent on each other. All the different departments are dependent on each other. And jobs are grouped in each department on the basis of the function of that particular department. So, departments, as we know, are created according to manufacturing, marketing, financial, and so on. Or, in companies like, big companies like Reliance and all, departments are created on the basis of the goods produced. So, they have divided into telecommunication, one sector, marketing of food products, Geomart, another sector. So in this way, we find that many a times, if the organization is too big and is dealing with the production of diversified or different products, then each product we find, though they are being produced by separate departments for management purpose, but the goal, the topmost goal, or the ultimate goal is the same. That is how to help the organization to get bigger and bigger. While grouping activities, we must keep the following factors in mind. Enough specialization of work needs to be performed because this will increase efficiency, will bring about coordination among the different departments through communication. The administrative expenditure will be economical. Economical means the cost will be cut down. Definitely, if you give a task to a person who is efficient and specialized to do a particular job, then definitely the cost of production is much less. Enough attention is also given to each particular job so that it is produced without, I mean to say that it is perfectly produced. It will have less of faults in it. The number, needs, preference, and limitation of employees also has to be taken into account. Every organization cannot employ a huge number of labor or employees. So, depending on the number of employees they have appointed, the quantity of goods will depend on that. You cannot expect that a few employees can produce a large quantity of goods. So the preference, the limitations have to be taken into account. And attention has to be given to each activity. And organization will also help to see that the performance of the individuals or of each employee is made or is improved. And the cost is the minimum. Assigning duties. Each group of activities is given to individuals who are best suited to perform the job according to their qualification, experience, and aptitude. Which I mentioned to you earlier also. A finance department will need chartered accountants and financial managers, while the operational department will be needing engineers. So we find that each department assigns or gives jobs to his employees based on the qualification, experience, and aptitude. Delegation of authority. After assignment of duties, the authority is a proper authority, or each individual must know what he is supposed to do because he has been given authority over that task. He's got full control over the task that he has been given to perform. So it's up to him to perform it in the best possible manner. For example, the production manager is given the authority to buy materials and machinery according to quantity and quality. So for this reason, we find that the production manager who's got the task of buying goods must buy good quality at the correct amount. Then as command, the chain of command passes from the top management to the lowest level. The authority or the level of authority goes on decreasing. definitely the top management has got more authority or more control in comparison to the junior level. The various managerial positions are then grouped into different levels of authority according to the rank. Top management have more authority, definitely, than middle and lower management. So the flow of authority is from top to bottom of the hierarchy, and depending upon the job position and job holders, so that there is a superior subordinate relationship in the channel of communication. So in the channel of communication, orders are always passed down from the top management to the middle management and then to the lower level. So this delegation of authority as it takes place goes on, what you call the authority goes, or we can say the power goes on diminishing. Definitely the top management has more powers for execution, then less in the middle management, and ultimately the lower level of management we find that the power has decreased. That is, employees have less power. But each one will perform the task assigned to him. Then he has full control over it. That is up to him. Coordinating activities. The activities and efforts of different individuals are synchronized so that everybody knows what the other one is doing and whom to take orders from. This is very important in a management. You cannot just listen to each and everybody in the management. The lower level employees cannot he cannot be told by each level of management, do this, do that. He has to report to a particular manager. Then only he will be able to understand clearly what is his job or what is he supposed to do. And this will bring about good coordination among the different departments and individuals for teamwork and efficient performance. So the activities and efforts of different individuals are synchronized, and they know from whom they have to take the orders. Because an employee cannot take orders from a number of managers. Then the task will not be clear. So each employee must know whom he has to report to or who is going to assign him the task. Then only can he work efficiently. With this, I finish explaining organizing as one of the conceptual skills of management. So that's all for today. Thank you, children. We'll have more in my next class.